we hear a lot about Tupac not being happy. Did he ever say anything about his record deals or anything? Not throughout his whole time that he wasn't happy with.
What I noticed after I started working as his assistant, showing up with him and being with him all day long, every day, um, I noticed he wasn't the same happy-go-lucky self. I could tell there was stress. I could tell there was pressure. Suge had spent a lot of money. He had put the best producers around him. He booked out the whole studio for him. He put him in a fucking hotel where we were paying $100 for a hamburger. A
Damn.
glass of water probably cost $10. I don't know, but um, he gave him everything. Like I said, he knew this artist was great, and he put him on the pedestal, and he held no shorts for Tupac. And anything Tupac wanted, Tupac got. And I knew that Tupac knew that that meant business. Tupac had always just dropped records, and they were good because he was good. But this time, he's out on bail, funded by another man or company. He has to produce a double album. He's with celebrity producers he's never been before. Cats we grew up listening to, like E40 and those guys, are flying in to being on his tracks. Anything he asked for, anything he wanted, he got. So I could tell um, he was visually stressed, but he was in the studio.
So
The stress would drop, and he would get down. But in the meantime, he was smoking lots of weed, and when he didn't have the weed, he was getting angry. He was you could tell, because the way I could tell is he was getting stressed, and I had never seen that before. But the day that album dropped, it went certified platinum, and it was a double album. So he went double platinum with no hip hop record had ever done on that day. And he was just totally different again. It was like all that stress just dropped. So you knew that's what it was. But that album had been the greatest selling album ever for hip hop in one day. And he was like back to himself.
you had mentioned that he changed during his time at Death Row. So early on, he was more fun, joking, and when he got to Death Row, it was a lot more serious.
It was serious. It's kind of like when Suge put me in office and said, "No going Hollywood." When he said, "Hey, you got to talk to Suge," I never had to talk to nobody. You know,
So, do you think he was happy there?
I think he was in a place that he created, and I think he was happy that he had the power to do that. And I don't think happiness was really what was an option. What he was thinking about for him is like, I desire the work. I've been given the work. Let me do the work. He was a true artist, and and he had found the means to get his shit done. It wasn't about happiness. So I won't say he was unhappy. I know like the movie and all that stuff talk about he was unhappy. I think let me tell it another way. I always tell the story of how Tupac always graduated to the next level. He started with the One Nation MCs. He started hanging out with my buddies, and he kind of took everything that we knew, about the game and women and stuff like that. Then he went to Strictly Dope, and he learned how to be a professional rapper. Then he went to Digital Underground and became a professional rapper. Then he went to Death Row, and he's on top of the rap food chain. And as each progression, he changed. But at Death Row, he was like kind of at the top, and now he had to listen to another man, you know. And I don't know if he was unhappy, but I know that you could see the pressure. But I will say this. when we go out to eat and when it wasn't all about recording, it was out just having fun, him and Suge got along like no other, to the point where he kind of Suge kind of signed his groups. He's got all these groups doing things, and and these two are boss balling. You know, they're wearing top hats and smoking cigars and acting like they've been friends forever. You know, so I think a lot of the stress came from the workload, and they'll make it out that Suge was a slave driver, but I think he finally found somebody that could travel at the speed he traveled.
So okay, so Tupac is he's real stressed out. It seemed like maybe he was just stressed out. He had a lot of pressure. He's out on bail.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he owes Death Row or Interscope $1 million.
Lots of money.
So he's in debt.
Mm-hmm.
Plus he's got cars, houses, all this other stuff Death Row was giving him.
Mm-hmm.
What was he like the night before All Eyes on Me dropped?
It was weird. There's a couple weird things happened. The pressure was on, right? And he was like supposed to get his house. He didn't get his house yet, but they moved him into a penthouse on Wilshire. And he was smoking a lot of weed. He was stressed out. And a couple days before the album dropped, we went from being at this Beverly Hills hotel, this beautiful, like I say, $100 hamburger spot. So they moved us to this one a few blocks over. I think it was called the Mondrian or Montrese. It was this colored checkered hotel next to the House of Blues. And that's like where most of the New York rappers stayed. Like back then you had East Coast, West Coast, but a lot of cats would come in. You know, I'm not going to mention the names at the time, but they'd be at that hotel. You knew where they stayed, and you knew who stayed at what hotels. Death Row moved us into that hotel. And it was the weirdest thing because, like, Pac would never say anything. Pac, shit, you know, Pac would be leaning on a cane and somebody take a cane and then he would act like it was never there. Pac was never one to complain. He knew shit got funny sometimes. He knew there was a reason behind a lot of stuff. But it's like, whatever, this is where we're at. He'd go with it. So they moved us to this hotel, and, you know, me and Big Syke and, you know, Mutai, a lot of cats are kind of looking at ourselves like, why are we at this hotel? And it's like, we're done with the album, or is it over? What the fuck is going on, right? And you can tell Tupac is visibly shaken. He doesn't have an answer for us. If he don't have an answer, we don't ask the question, because that's when he's kind of moody, you know. This is all uncharted territory for him. So he's like, man, fuck it, da-da-da, you know. Next day, they take us to this big-ass suite on Wilshire, this fucking penthouse. And he says, Kendrick, do it up. We order him fish tanks, and designers come in and hook it all up, and TVs on the wall. Before they had TVs on the wall. And it's just the contrast. We go from the Hollywood Hotel to this crazy, like, where the fuck we're in the war zone, but in California. And then we go to this nice penthouse. So it's like, I don't know what that was. Was that some kind of mind fuck or what? But Tupac rode with it. He was never like, fuck this, what is this? Or he was, you know what I'm saying? We slept in mansions and we slept on floors. We went from the range of it all, and it was always cool. And basically, that's how we all were. We had all tasted riches, and we had all tasted cockroaches.
Okay, so what was he going through the night of All Eyes on Me?
Yeah, he was nervous. He wasn't himself. He was, you know, real short. When he wasn't himself, you kind of stayed away from him, you know. And I could tell that he was fucked up, because that shit was. We didn't know. We heard the songs. Yeah, they're tight. They sound different. He's doing it in a way it hasn't been done before. This is different. Before he was strictly for my niggas. He was pro-black. Then he went to thug life. You know, me against the world. Ragtag band of thugs, getting down in the streets, going from city to city, shooting a cop. Now he's talking about crystal, gold chains, and having everything. So this album was different, and California Love had already dropped, so that was out there and that was doing well. That was Dr. Dre's song. That was supposed to be Dr. Dre's song. Suge made Dre put Pac on it, and there might have been a little animosity because of that. That was Dre's hit, and they gave it to Pac, and he ate it up. And so yeah, so in your heart, you knew everything was gonna be how it was supposed to be, but there's always nervousness when you drop an album. You don't know what's gonna happen, and that shit was the biggest record ever.